Why heavy rainfall led to salty tears. Welcome to part 2.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So the big challenge is, how can house owners like you and me get a flood-free home? How can business managers like you and me get a flood-free company? And how can public servants provide flood-free critical infrastructure and livable cities?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe. This podcast is for foresighted and proactive people who do not want to shovel the muddy water out of their room while standing in the midst of the disaster.
Therefore, those who design and plan, the architects and engineers, need to construct such buildings and cities, and that even when the entire environment is completely flooded. That is a challenge, and this podcast will give the answers.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
Yeah, today, and welcome again, we talk about part 2. In the last episode, I was describing the situation of this older couple living in the province of Bulacan, that is about 60 kilometers north of Manila in the Philippines. And how they experienced this rainy day with this heavy rainfall, and finally they ended up in the midst of the disaster because they spent the night upstairs at the second floor, and when they came downstairs the next day after having spent a lot of tears during the night, and they were not sleeping well. They found their home completely devastated, and that was a disaster. The whole sofa was swimming around. The kitchen was not a kitchen anymore. Mud everywhere. And finally they found the way out of the house, and they walked through the water in the garden that was up to the ankles and sometimes up to the knee. And they arrived at the garage and opened the side door, and what they found was that was even worse, because the car was totally scratched, and the bicycle damaged, and you could not use it anymore. Even the main entrance, this automatic entrance of the garage, you could not open anymore because there was floating debris damaging it totally, and so you also have to repair that. But it was a disaster. And since then, whenever there is heavy rainfall and the sky is turning gray and dark, the wife is still quite often starting to cry, and the body is sometimes shaking. So it's a kind of panic attack. And the same for the men, because they lost everything during this day, and their thought was, what will they do with the savings? Because the money they still have on the bank, that was for their retirement when they get sick, and that they have some money to give to the children who are older already, who left the house already. Yes, all their life, what they have done, they saved the money. They did not go to vacation. They did not spend money for nonsense. So they invested in their house, and now suddenly they lost all the inventory, the accessories, and what to do next? Everything is dirty, dust, muddy, and what to do, and what if that will happen again? So they needed a solution, and today we talk about the solution for this homeowner couple. And the first thing what they did is, of course, they're cleaning up the mess. It always starts with that. And for all those who are listening to this podcast, one thing what you can remember, if ever that happens or you want to consult somebody else, within the first 72 hours, you have to shovel the mud out onto the street or onto the garden, because the moment this muddy material will become hard and is drying out, it's like cement. And then you need tools. You need heavy-duty equipment to get rid of this sandy, it's not sand, mud, of this cement thing. So better you bring it out immediately. I remember a small episode from the catastrophe in the Ahrtal, in the Ahr Valley, in Bad Münstereifel in Germany in July 2021. And you could see after the disaster, you could see people using the water hose and making their lot and the living room wet. And then you say, are they totally crazy? I mean, they were flooded and now they bring water inside. They just did that to keep this material, this mud, wet again, that it is not getting dry, because they could not handle this volume so fast. So you keep it wet. That is one advice. And that is what our couple had not to do, because they were immediately starting to clean everything and to throw away the sofa, the refrigerator that could not be repaired anymore, and everything else. And luckily, some things they found in the garden. And there was another story from this disaster in Germany. There was one, of course, the television was coming because it was such a big disaster in Germany. And there was one man, and he was so lucky, and that was really by coincidence. The camera team was there from the German TV and filming him. And while he was cleaning up the mess in the garden and searching for things, and suddenly he was so happy because he found the wedding ring. He said, yes, everything was washed out from the house. So the rooms were almost empty. Everything was in the garden, and he found the wedding ring, because normally he always take it from his finger in the evening and put it in his in the drawer next to his bed. So the whole drawer was swimming to the garden, and then of course the things were distributed everywhere. So, and he was so lucky, and he found the golden ring again. So so two advices, or one advice: better don't take away the wedding ring from your finger. Always keep it where it should be, at your finger. That was one thing. So and way back to the Philippines, to our couple, what did they do? They cleaned up everything first. They were very sad to throw away all the things they have purchased during the last 10, 20, 30 years. And then they called a specialist to repair the entrance of the garage, because they could not use the car anymore. And once the garage entrance was repaired, I told you there was floating debris hitting these panels, so that the panels could not be moved up anymore, could not be lifted anymore. And then they saw the car, and they pulled it out with the help of the neighbors. And of course, the car was not working anymore. They also had to bring it to the car repair. And that was, that was beyond I think 10,000 euro or something like that, or US dollar. They had to pay because the whole electrical system was damaged. And the car, when it came back later, was still smelly. Once a car is flooded, and you can still smell it years after that. And who wants to drive in such a smelly car, right? And what next? They had at the end, that was no more longer a garden, that was just a piece of soil everywhere. There was no garden anymore. The trees were still there. I think 3 trees they were still there, but all the bushes, all flowers, vegetables, the barbecue corner, all gone. Everything gone. And you know how expensive it is. I was recently in a shop in Germany for my house, and I wanted to buy some flowers and bushes, and I was shocked when I saw the price for all these things. That is really, really expensive. Yeah, so finally our couple cleaned the house, and then came the next step. What did they do next?
Flood protection secrets. Stay tuned. It's about to continue.
Yeah, finally, they tried to find a solution, still hoping that this disaster first will not happen again. And they checked out, is there any solution available? And finally, they checked in the internet and they approached us. So they found us, so the flood experts, Flood Control Asia, AS Flood Control, all these kind of keywords. At the end, they ended up with us and we got a phone call here in Pampanga. So my team got it because I was not around. And there was a husband and telling, we have a problem, the disaster, and he saw something in the internet and can we help them? And of course we could, but they were not really able to explain the whole range of disaster on the phone because they were so excited and a little bit nervous. And then we said, okay, why don't you come to our office and we discuss about it. And if you like, send us some photos before. And luckily they made photos. And then so it came that they arrived in our office and we talked about it. And they were very afraid because they said, and what if we invest in flood barriers? We did not know that such something like flood barriers exist. But what if they don't work? I said, okay, let's talk about that one by one. The first thing is, yes, there is a technical solution to protect a house entrance, a door. There is a technical solution to protect even a window. Yes. There is a technical solution to protect these light wells, leading to a basement, but they were not having a basement. That light well, these openings for the basement windows. Then the next was a garage. Yes, it is possible to protect the garage from the front side. You remember their automatic garage door was damaged through floating debris and could not be opened anymore. That was very expensive. At the end, they needed a new door for the garage. What they didn't do, they kept it open in the meantime. It was on their ground, so they said, okay, nobody will most probably steal anything in the next time, because they still have a gate to the street. So that is possible. Also the side door from the garage, that can be protected. All these kind of things. And then they said, okay, we want something automatic like what we have for our garage. I said, yes, that is possible. But an automatic system is also, of course, more expensive than a manual system. And how often are you normally in your house? We live there. And no, we don't travel around the world anymore. Normally, we are always here, especially when there is a bad weather coming and they announce it early enough. So the weather report is pretty good. So then I said, look, you lost already all your money. Don't take a loan just to invest in an automatic system. That is possible, but don't do it. Do it the simple way. And we talk about a protection height of 900 millimeters. That was almost 1 meter protection height. I like to recommend it, but don't take an automatic system. And look, here we can show you a stackable system with demountable flood barriers. And that is what we did. And then they said, yeah, that is good. And there is the watertight. Is it watertight? And what if there's floating debris? So many questions, because they were afraid that the disaster will happen again and they lose everything again, even after having invested and spent their money. And I told them, look, come outside and we will prove the barriers. And then we did that. We installed the barriers and filled a water basin. We call it our swimming pool with water. And they were standing in front and they said, oh, there's only a droplet coming out. My shoes are not getting wet. How it comes? It's magic. I said, no, it's not magic. That's German technology. And you can protect your things. So finally, they were convinced. And then they asked the question, and how if floating debris is hitting it and damaging it, like what happened with our garage? We are very afraid about that. I said, don't worry. That is also tested and against the floating debris. And there were special tests and there is a certificate about that. And we can also prove that. And finally we did. And so they were convinced that this technology will support and help them. And the important thing is to ask the right questions questions, and that is what this couple did. They were afraid that the technology might not be watertight, so that leaks still can happen, and that floating debris will damage everything, and then it's leaking immediately. So, and you must guarantee with this technology that both will work. Leak with water that is not moving, but in case that is moving, there are waves, and there's additional kinetic energy, how we say, and I cannot hide that I'm an engineer. Kinetic energy, and floating debris, for instance, what I mentioned several times now. And if these things happen and the barriers are leaking and they are not protecting you, so you wasted all your money, and then you will have salty tears again after a rainfall, and that is what you want to avoid. So finally, this couple decided to make this investment, and we said already, look, when you calculate all the inventory, what you have lost, and in the last episode, I was explaining all the inventory and the accessories, what they have lost, and what they purchased within the last 10, 20, 30 years. Sofa, refrigerator, music sound system, golf clubs, electric guitar for the son, and piano and kitchen tools and tools in the garage, compressor, drilling machines, and all these kind of things, high sophisticated bicycle, car, etc. If you calculate and the gardening things, the bushes and the flowers and everything, your barbecue corner with an expensive American barbecue, and if you calculate that and you just calculate the total amount of inventory, you will be shocked about that. You will be really shocked about that. And the best is you just make you summarize all these values, and you will see that is far beyond what you expect. And that is far beyond a month's yearly annual income. That is many, many more. And at the end, they said to us, I think that will pay off with the next rain. I said, yep, you got it. Such a protection pays off with when one flood is happening. So it means at one incident, it pays off already. So that is an investment for a lifetime. So there is no risk, you cannot lose, and it will protect you. And they are very, very safe, and they are very, very thankful. And until now, we have a good relationship to this couple. And in one of the next episodes, I will tell you what happened after 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. And in the meantime, I think it's 5 years already. So, and we always meet them again, and we are in touch. And that is what I will share with you. But one thing has left. The wife is not shaking anymore, is not crying anymore when the sky turns dark gray and dark black and when rain is coming, because she is not afraid anymore that their home will be flooded again. And the husband has the same feeling. He's not afraid that his beautiful car, his fancy car, is totally damaged, or they have take the last money to repair and to repair all the damaged things and make replacement purchases. So they can keep the money and live a happy life. If not, everything is lost and you never know what will happen, and you don't have any money on a bank account anymore. That is, of course, not a good idea. In this case, we made the people happy and safe at the same time. First safe and then happy. And I hope that you also have such a happy and safe life. I wish and hope for you that you make the right decisions when it comes to your personal flood protection. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast channel if you haven't already. Now it only remains for me to wish you a good day. Do something with it. Maybe until the next podcast episode. I would be very happy. See you then. As always, stay safe and flood free. Your Andreas Klippe and the whole Flood Experts team.
That's it again with the new episode of Flood Protection Secrets. The podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe, German engineer, book author, and head of the flood experts. What can Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe protect for you? Anytime? Worldwide? Contact us or just click through to www.thefloodexperts.de/bonus. Detailed engineering. German quality. Safe. Flood protection secrets. The secrets you'll want to unfold.
Don't forget, you're only one flood barrier away.
Subscribe to the season, and you'll never be late for an episode.